So today, we're diving into this really fascinating internal report I came across about a system called AI Now. And honestly, it details a pretty radical shift in how we deal with technology. We're moving away from fixing things after they break to a world where our machines can literally tell us they need help before they fail. Let's get into how they're making our machines talk.
Just think about that for a second. Your car, the fridge, some critical piece of equipment in a factory. What if, instead of just, dying on you out of nowhere, it could give you a heads up? This isn't science fiction anymore. It's the exact problem this new tech is built to solve. But to really get why that's such a huge deal, we got to look at how we've always done things.
For decades, well, forever really, our relationship with our machines has been a total one-way street. We use them until they just stop. They fall silent, and only then does that frantic, stressful process of getting them fixed actually begin. And that whole process, it's just a cycle of frustration, right? First, you get the surprise failure that brings everything to a screeching halt. Then comes the downtime, which is always costly, while you just sit there and wait. A technician finally shows up and starts this long manual diagnosis, basically trying to figure out what went wrong with experience and a whole lot of guesswork. This entire model is just inefficient, it's expensive, and it's all based on reacting to a disaster that's already happened. Okay, so that's the old way. But now, that's all starting to change. The AI Now system is built from the ground up to give our machines a voice, letting them communicate their own health in real time. It's really a team-up of two key pieces of tech working in perfect harmony.
First up is something called TinyML. The easiest way to think about this is like the machine's onboard nervous system. These are tiny, super efficient AI models that live right on the device itself. They're the senses, constantly feeling for these minuscule little fluctuations in current or temperature or pressure, the subtle whispers of wear and tear that no human could ever possibly notice.
All that sensory data then gets beamed up to the second part, a large language model, or LLM. And this is the real brain of the operation, living in the cloud. The LLM doesn't just crunch numbers, oh no, it interprets all that data, it diagnoses incredibly complex patterns, it spits out a preliminary report, and, get this, it can even ask engineers on site to run a few more tests to confirm its own hypothesis.
And this, right here, is the absolute game changer. It means machines aren't just passive objects spitting out data anymore. They are now active participants in their own maintenance, literally having a dialogue with the people who take care of them.
So what does this actually mean in the real world? Like, what's the tangible impact? Well, the report gives us some pretty incredible data on what happens when you shift from reacting to predicting. This table just lays it all out so perfectly. Look at this. Detection time goes from days after a failure to real time, or even before it happens. Decisions go from being based on one person's gut feeling to being based on massive data models. And knowledge, instead of being stuck in the heads of a few technicians, is now centralized for everyone, everywhere to access.
And it all leads to this number. This is the big one. The system can predict between 70 and 85% of failures before they even happen. That is a monumental leap. We're talking about preventing massive downtime and saving huge costs by fixing problems that haven't even fully broken anything yet.
And for those times a repair is still needed, knowing the exact problem ahead of time slashes the average repair time by a massive 40%. The diagnosis is already done before the technician even walks in the door. But, this isn't just about the stats. It's about the people. The feedback from the field technicians really says it all. For them, it's no longer a guessing game. It's become a clear, data-driven conversation with the machine itself.
But the vision here, it goes way beyond just one smart machine. The real power, the future, lies in connecting all of them into a massive learning network. Imagine this for a second. One machine out in the world experiences some super rare fault. It learns from it, diagnoses it, gets fixed. Well, that experience doesn't just vanish. It's instantly shared across the entire network. So now, every other machine knows what to look for. The whole fleet gets smarter because of the experience of one.
And that creates this incredible feedback loop that goes all the way back to the drawing board. All this real-world data on how parts are actually wearing out and failing gets fed directly back to the design teams. This lets them analyze, improve, and completely redesign future products based on the collective wisdom of every single machine out there in the field. And we're not just talking about heavy industrial equipment here. The report shows how this framework can be applied to pretty much everything, from factory robots and lab equipment all the way down to the smart appliances in our own homes. The vision is a massive, interconnected ecosystem of devices that are all learning together.
So, when you step back and look at the big picture, what does all this really mean? Well, it's not just a simple upgrade in how we do maintenance. It feels more like the beginning of a profound shift in our entire relationship with the objects around us.
We've always thought of them as just tools. Passive, silent things, waiting for us to tell them what to do. But that definition, it's quickly becoming obsolete.
And this is maybe the most powerful line from the entire report. They are becoming members with experience and memory. Let that sink in for a moment. They learn from their past, they communicate their present, and they contribute to a collective future. They're no longer just things being acted upon, they're active participants.
And that really leaves us with a fascinating and maybe slightly unsettling question to think about. As the devices we build and live with every single day start to think, learn, and remember, how is that going to fundamentally change what it even means for something to be just a tool?